Okay, so this deep dive, it's a big one.
Yeah.
We're walking with Jesus to Jerusalem
Big time.
weeks before, you know.
Before the crucifixion is final Passover.
Right, and he kind of slips out of his base camp, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't kids for smaller towns.
You wouldn't expect that, right? For somebody who everyone thinks is going to be king.
Yeah. It's not exactly the triumphant entrance you might expect.
Yeah. It's like everybody else is focused on Jerusalem, right? Where all the Passover stuff is going to happen.
Right.
But Jesus uses this time for these smaller towns, these more intimate teachings and encounters.
And it's these weeks that are so fascinating because our source here, the Urantia book, it gives us these amazing glimpses into them.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
Like almost like we're walking right alongside, fly on the wall perspective.
Jesus and the disciples.
Yeah.
Hearing their private conversations.
Absolutely.
Man, were the disciples confused sometimes.
Well, they
were so sure a physical kingdom was about to happen.
I mean, you can practically feel the disconnect, right?
Right.
Jesus is talking about a spiritual kingdom transformation of the heart.
Yeah.
But the disciples are thinking thrones and armies.
Oh, yeah, like a very different kind of power.
Very different.
Which I think makes this interaction with Salome so interesting.
Oh, yeah.
She's the mother of James and John.
Right.
And she goes up to Jesus, who she believes is about to be king.
Right.
And basically asks for the best positions for her sons.
I mean, can you imagine going up to someone you think is about to be king?
Yeah.
And saying, hey, can my sons have the best seats in the house, so to speak?
It's like the ultimate.
It really is.
Some of.
It is. But it speaks to something I think that's very human. You know, this desire for your loved ones to have influence, to be close to power.
Absolutely.
But Jesus' response is so telling.
Yeah, he's very gentle about it, but he basically tells them you don't know what you're asking.
Yeah, he tries to redirect their focus from this worldly power to the true meaning of greatness.
It's like he's saying, look, guys, you're focused on the wrong kind of power.
Exactly.
And that message that true greatness comes from service.
Yeah.
Not from status.
Service, not status.
It's so relevant even today.
Oh, absolutely.
No, I see it everywhere, right?
It's constant
striving to get ahead, to get the corner office, to get
recognition.
Yeah.
The title.
Yeah, the title.
The bigger office.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Right.
But Jesus is challenging that whole notion.
Yeah, he is.
He's not interested in creating this hierarchy of earthly power.
Right.
He's calling for something much more radical.
Right.
A complete shift in perspective, a reordering of our priorities.
Yes. And I think that's nowhere more apparent than in his Counting the Cost sermon.
Oh, man, that's a powerful one.
So picture this Jesus standing on a rock, addressing this massive crowd.
Huge crowd.
And he lays it all out there.
Yeah.
The true cost of following him.
He doesn't sugarcoat it.
No, he does.
He's talking about a level of commitment.
Right.
That most people just weren't ready for.
And honestly, I don't think much has changed. Because he's talking about...
Yeah, what was he saying?
Forsaking family.
Yeah, forsaking family, possessions, comfort, security.
Possessions, comfort.
Even life itself, if necessary.
Yeah, and that's a hard teaching. It's not like checking a box on a Sunday morning, right?
No.
This is a complete surrender to something bigger than yourself.
It's a complete life change.
And I love how our source here really makes us...
It really does.
Feel the weight of his words on the crowd.
You could practically hear a pin drop.
Because remember... Thousands had been following him.
I know, it's incredible.
Right.
The crowds he drew were massive.
But as they hear this, and the reality of what he's saying sinks in, people start turning away.
They just weren't ready for it.
Right.
They were expecting a conqueror.
Yeah.
A king who would overthrow Roman rule.
Right. A very tangible, earthly kingdom.
An earthly kingdom.
Instead, they got a call to radical discipleship.
Yes, a challenge to look inward.
Yeah.
To examine their own hearts.
Right.
And to align themselves with a different kind of power altogether.
Right. It's a whole different ball game.
It really is.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not just the crowds who miss the point.
Right.
Even Jesus's closest disciples.
Yeah.
You know, the ones who are right there with him, witnessing the miracles, hearing him teach.
Yeah, they're with him day in and day out, right?
Exactly.
They still didn't always get it.
They were still looking for that earthly kingdom.
Yeah, like they couldn't see past their own expectations.
Their own preconceived notions.
Right. And this is where I think things get almost
I know.
It's like, because here's Jesus, right, talking about sacrifice.
Right.
Talking about service.
Yeah, humility.
And what do some of the disciples do?
Yeah.
They go out and arm themselves.
I know. It's like they're getting ready for a revolution.
I know. Like it's straight out of an action movie or something.
It really is. And our source here tells us that Simon Peter and Simon Zelotes, both incredibly loyal to Jesus, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But they had secretly given the other disciples swords.
What?
Yeah, like actual weapons.
But they were ready to go to war for him.
They were ready to defend their idea of the Messiah.
Wow.
Even if it meant using violence.
It just goes to show how easy it is to get so caught up in your own version of how things should be.
Oh, absolutely.
That you totally miss what's right in front of you.
You miss the point entirely.
And it's in this atmosphere, right, with all this misunderstanding and really, I think, misplaced anticipation that Jesus reveals to his apostles what's waiting for him in Jerusalem.
And he lays it all out there.
Does he sugarcoat it?
He doesn't mince words.
No.
He tells them about the betrayal, the suffering, the death he's going to face.
And you would think that would be the moment.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, now they'll finally understand.
Right. But it doesn't really click, does it?
It doesn't compute for them.
No.
Because a suffering Messiah, a king who dies on a cross, that does not compute with their understanding of who the Messiah is supposed to be.
Right. It goes against everything they thought they knew.
Exactly. They're holding on to this hope, this belief that he will rise up.
Overthrow the Romans.
Defeat their enemies.
Yeah.
Establish a kingdom on their terms.
Right. Their version of the story.
Their version.
It's almost like they can't hear the truth.
It's like they're blinded by their own expectations.
Yeah.
So they can't see what's right in front of them.
Even when it's staring them right in the face.
Exactly. And it's right in the middle of all of this.
Okay.
All of this drama that some Pharisees approached Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Now, these Pharisees, they weren't always on the best of terms with Jesus.
Right. They usually weren't.
Right. But they come to him with a warning.
Okay, what do they say?
They tell him that Herod, the same Herod who had John the Baptist killed, is threatened by Jesus.
Oh, boy.
And is planning to have him killed, too.
It's like a death sentence.
It's a chilling reminder of the very real danger that Jesus is facing.
So what does he do?
Well, you'd think he might back down.
Right.
Postpone his trip to Jerusalem.
You'd be laying low for a while.
Exactly. But he doesn't.
He doesn't.
He doubles down.
Wow.
He sends a message back to Herod saying, the Son of Man will be perfected in his mission on earth and prepared to ascend to the Father.
He's like, I know what's coming and I'm not afraid.
It's incredible he's operating on a whole other level.
Right. Like he knows this is all part of a bigger plan.
Exactly. And it's in the midst of all of this drama and foreshadowing that we get this beautiful story of Jesus's compassion.
Okay, tell me about it.
So there's this blind beggar named Bartimaeus.
Okay.
And he's heard stories about Jesus's healing power.
Right.
So he starts shouting from the roadside, Jesus, Jesus, have mercy on me.
You can just feel the desperation in his voice.
But also this incredible faith that Jesus can help him.
And does Jesus ignore him?
No. He stops.
He stops for this one guy.
He stops for this one guy and he heals him.
Wow.
He restores his sight right there on the spot.
What a moment.
It's this incredible reminder that even as Jesus is walking towards his own suffering, he never loses sight of those who are hurting.
Right. He's still present.
He's still present. He's still available to those who need him.
That's so powerful.
And speaking of unexpected encounters.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah, we meet Zacchaeus.
Okay, who is Zacchaeus?
He's a wealthy tax collector.
Okay, and why is that a big deal?
Well, in those days, tax collectors were not popular people.
Why not?
They were seen as collaborators with the Roman authorities, often accused of exploiting their own people.
So not exactly the good guys.
Not exactly.
Okay.
So you can imagine the shockwaves when Jesus chooses to stay at Zacchaeus' house.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. This is like unheard of, right?
It flies in the face of social and religious norms.
Wow.
But Jesus sees something in Zacchaeus.
What does he see?
A longing for something more, a desire for change.
I mean, that's what's so amazing about Jesus, right?
I know. It's like he sees right through all the labels.
Yeah.
All the preconceived notions.
Yeah, he doesn't wait for people to clean up their act.
Exactly.
Before he welcomes them in.
He meets them right where they are.
And Zacchaeus, he's like the perfect example.
Oh, totally.
Because here's this guy who's gotten rich.
Right.
Off of a corrupt system.
Yeah, he's benefited from the very thing that's oppressing his people.
Right. And yet, the moment he encounters Jesus,
he's like overcome with this.
Yeah, it's like this instant repentance.
Right.
He realizes the error of his ways And he's immediately like, I need to make things right.
Yeah, he vows to give away his wealth.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to give back what I've taken and then some.
And it's not just about the money, right?
No.
It's about a complete change of heart.
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder what could happen if we let ourselves be that open.
Right. What if we approached our own shortcomings with that kind of honesty?
Yeah, exactly.
And, it's right after this whole encounter with Zacchaeus that Jesus shares the parable of the pounds.
Okay, and remind me again about that one.
So in this parable, Jesus is talking about stewardship.
Okay.
About being entrusted with certain gifts and opportunities.
Okay.
And the responsibility to use them wisely.
It's like he's speaking directly to his disciples here, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're still so focused on this idea of earthly power and authority.
Right. They're still waiting for the kingdom to come in all its glory.
Right. Exactly.
But Jesus is trying to shift their focus.
Yeah.
He's saying it's not about ruling over others.
It's about being faithful with what you've been given.
Exactly.
Even when you think you're destined for something bigger.
It's about making the most of every opportunity right here, right now.
Yeah. That's such a good word because it's so easy to get caught up.
It really is.
In wanting more, in chasing after status and recognition.
Oh, I know. It's like we're always looking for the next promotion, the bigger house, the fancier title.
Exactly.
But Jesus is reminding us that true leadership, true greatness, it comes from serving others.
And not just when it's convenient or when we feel like it, right?
No, it's about showing up consistently.
Yeah.
Even when it's hard. Even when we'd rather be doing something else.
Wow. So here they are on the road to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
The crowds, the disciples, even Jesus himself.
Yeah.
They're all carrying their own expectations, their own hopes and fears.
It's like they're all on the edge of something huge.
Right. And as we leave them there, on the cusp of these events that are about to change everything.
It makes you think.
It really does.
About our own journeys.
Yeah. Are we willing to let go of our own agendas?
Our own need for control.
And trust that even in the midst of uncertainty, even in the midst of suffering, we're being guided toward something more.
Something truer, something more beautiful than we could ever imagine.
Something worth sacrificing for.
Absolutely.
It's a lot to think about.
It really is.
Thanks for diving into this with me.
Always a pleasure.